Long story short, that was the last time I shoved round cheese jam up Mars.
Fair enough.
Hello and welcome to the Phil Shy podcast. I'm Peter Bell, and with me, my co-host, the nicest man in comedy, Patrick Linton.
Hello.
It's been, 2 weeks since we last did one of these? Mm-hmm. And so obviously we're going to start with the biggest football story that has happened in that time. And that is obviously Roy Hodgson getting into a fight with Sheffield United player Max Lowe.
Wee fucking boy. He's a wee nutcase, man. Like, he's like your mental granddad that you have to pull off people in a pub.
He is. His eyes were so intense at that point, and he claimed he punched him. It was like, it's literally on video, Roy.
There's only about 42 cameras on you at that point, Roy.
It was incredible, man. Genuinely, maybe my favourite thing that's happened in football in a while. And the thing is, though, it is very dangerous to attack Roy Hodgson. Because no matter what angle you come at, he can see you, because he can turn his head completely around.
He's a wee fucking owl.
Because he's an owl, yeah. Also, at any point, he can get the high ground.
By the way, maybe that's why he attacked a Sheffield United player. He's an owl. Fucking right, man. Sheffield Wednesday's nickname. Famously.
I got that. What a start to this podcast.
We're flying, mate.
We're flying. Fuck off. One egg is enough. Anyway, so what I wanted to go from there, where I wanted to go is talk about your favourite player-manager sideline interaction, something like that. You know, what one stands out for you?
Well, like Big Sam just laughing his head off. Was it Chico Flores?
Chico Flores,
played for Swansea at the time, where he just like started laughing in his face, and like there was something quite terrifying because you know Big Sam can handle himself.
100%, man.
He'll kick your cunt in like no bother.
I mean the man drinks pints of wine. Anyone that does that, you don't want to get in a scrap with him.
Him and Johnny Depp, man.
A mega pint. Wasn't there didn't Alan Pardew headbutt someone on the sideline?
Yeah, he did,
mate.
David Mailer, I think it was for Hull. Like, I know I'm a Newcastle fan, but Alan Pardew is a fucking wank. I can't stand the guy. Like, I just can't go, man.
What didn't he get a 8-year contract or something like that with Newcastle when he was manager?
It's only because him and Mike Ashley went to the same High Rollers casino in London. And like I think they signed the contract in the back of a fucking napkin when they were hammered or something. And Pardew was like, I'll take an 8-year deal. Like that's always going to go sour. Like no manager lasts 8 years in the Premier League. Like very few. I would like to fucking have a Google of that. And like I bet you there's a handful.
100%. Well, that was one of the things that came out from this weekend. Thomas Frank is now the third longest serving manager in the Premier League.
It's mental, that.
He's been in it for 2 years, something like that. Do you know who the top two are? It's obvious, but might as well see if you can think of it.
The top two, Pep?
Yeah.
Jurgen?
Yeah.
Aye, that's it.
That's it. Aye. Everyone else has been sacked, and those two are just basically untouchable. So we've covered Roy Hodgson. In fact, Jurgen Klopp, that's good that you bring that up, because Liverpool's what I was going to talk about next, because their game with Bournemouth started off with a couple of really horrendous goalkeeping and defensive errors.
Aye.
And I think they look great going forward. They're always going to score goals because not only have they got Salah, who's just a goal machine, but Luis Diaz, before he got injured, was in shit hot form for them. And he looks like now he's back.
Aye.
He's back in form. He's scoring goals, and it's not just like simple goals. Some of them are, that was an overhead kick kind of thing he did at the weekend there. He looks amazing, but Alisson made some really big mistakes and then had to foul the guy in order to make up for it.
Yep.
The first goal that Bournemouth scored that ended up being offside, that was a gift from the defence to them.
Yep.
I'm trying to figure out whether this is a decline in Virgil van Dijk and Alisson, or if it's just showing how much Henderson and Fabinho did in that team, and now they just don't have that anymore.
I think it's probably a combination of both things. You know what I mean? Like missing Henderson, Fabinho especially.
Aye.
Because a fit Fabinho was incredible.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But the defence just doesn't cut it anymore. Because the year they won the league, they only conceded fucking 20 goals or something. They were incredible, keeping teams out as well as being all out attack all the time.
Yeah.
Alisson again, like he's making hundreds of mistakes because like when Alisson was at the peak of his powers, Ederson still started for Brazil, which I used to always argue against, but now I can see why.
Well, actually, I always thought it was the opposite of that. I thought Alisson always started for Brazil. Certainly when anytime I saw Brazil, it was Alisson starting. And I was always surprised by that as well. But I think like one of the things Henderson used to do for Liverpool all the time was anytime a fullback went forward, he would just come in and cover for them.
Aye.
They're not going to have that anymore because in their midfield the other day was, in fact, the past 2 games was Szoboszlai, who's when he's playing for Hungary or when he was playing for Leipzig was an attacking midfielder.
Aye.
Wasn't a defensive midfielder. McAllister, who again, he's not a defensive midfielder. No. And Cody Gakpo, who is a winger.
Aye. Like he's playing front of it too.
And I think that shows part of the problem that they've got in that midfield right now is if you're having to play Gakpo there, you're missing a lot in that midfield. If you can't fill 3 places, you're going to be in a world of trouble.
Aye.
And obviously they're trying to bring in other ones. They try to bring in Caicedo. They try to bring in Romeo Lavia. Chelsea managed to steal both of them because I don't know why they would rather go to Chelsea than Liverpool right now, but they need to bring in proper cover there. They signed that guy Endo from Stuttgart, but he's not played yet, so I don't know if he's just not ready for how they play football or anything like that. But if I was a Liverpool fan, that would worry me. Like I said at the start of the season, I think they'll finish fourth.
Do you think this new guy will be the Endo their midfield troubles? I just wanted to say that for your reaction.
I need to put up with this all the time, ladies and gentlemen.
You have to deal with this. Oh,
genuinely, no, as a serious answer to that, I have not seen enough of this guy play football to possibly comment on whether he's good or bad. I'm going to be honest with you, I know we do a football podcast, but I'm not big on my Stuttgart. And I'm basically hazarding the guess that it was Stuttgart he was playing for. I'm pretty sure it was, but I don't follow the Bundesliga that closely because it's not COVID anymore and there's other football.
Exactly.
So he might be good, he might be bad, but I think he's 30 or something like that. So it's not like they're bringing in a guy that's going to be able to do it for the next
losing
3,
it
4,
in
5
Caicedo
years.
was the big one. Like,
aye.
Chelsea do it again. Like, how can they keep doing it? How can they keep spending all this dough?
I don't know, man. And obviously they sold a few players as well, but it's over £1 billion they've spent since Todd Bowley came in. Like
I've seen some articles about it. I read something in Athletic about because it's these long-term deals.
Aye.
Like they're signing players on 7.5-year contracts, so per year.
But does that mean they're paying up the initial transfer fee over all those years?
I think so they'll be paying it per year. How
come other clubs don't do that though? Obviously, everything's drip fed, but I think Arsenal had to pay West Ham 90% of that up front, otherwise West Ham wouldn't sell. So why are other clubs fucking letting them get away with that?
I don't know, mate.
It's mental. Honestly, I don't see how that could possibly be FFP compliant, because if they're doing it every year, they're still paying 5-6 new players, say even 20 million every year. That book's got to balance eventually, surely.
They'll have a team of lawyers just sitting working it out constantly. They'll be for any rules that are in football or in fair play, there'll be a squad of lawyers that are how can we cut holes in this?
And then why aren't other teams doing it as well?
True.
It just
maybe it's something dodgy.
Aye, I don't know, man. I don't know. But well, obviously, but I don't want to say anything. Allegedly, it's dodgy. That's what we'll say.
I don't want to get sued off Chelsea in a second.
But what else was I going to say? So going back to the Chelsea Liverpool game, which was just madness, to be honest with you. I don't know whether it looked like both teams looked quite good, or if both teams were just equally bad as each other. But
I thought both teams looked good. I thought both teams they both opened themselves up, but they were both positive, which is what they needed. Especially Poch.
I think if Salah's goal that got ruled out for offside
at 2-0,
that would have made it 2-0. I think if that was onside, if that goes in and that counts, Liverpool walk the rest of that game.
Probably.
I think that it seemed to galvanise Chelsea, and they were able to then fight their way back into it. But I think if Liverpool go 2-up, that would have been that game over.
Aye.
And they would have comfortably won it. And I'm probably going to get pelters for Chelsea fans for saying it, but your team's in fucking disarray and West Ham just smashed you. So
I know, mate.
That, I have to say though, watching that game, Chelsea were the better team.
Aye.
Like, by far, I don't know how they managed to lose that 3-1. Raheem Sterling finally looked like he'd found some form. He was playing brilliantly for them. I think they had something like 17 shots, had 70-odd% possession, and still managed to lose the game 3-1.
Take your chances, don't you, man?
Aye. It's almost like they need a centre forward.
Who are they going to ruin next, man? Who are they going
Nicholas Jackson, because he's there now.
Aye.
I think part of the problem for them is they have so many tricky, like, dribbly players who love to show off how tricky and dribbly they are. And that's what they want to do. They just want to run and dribble past people and all that. Because Micallum Mudryk, Noni Madueke, even Jackson as the forward, that's what they want to do. They want to be taking people on. It's not like they want to actually pass to a teammate who's in a better position or just get themselves in a good position and try and score from it. Raheem Sterling was the standout player for them in that game. And I'd be kind of worried that, yeah, they're all young players, so you think you could mould them, and Poch would be quite good at that.
Aye.
Generally speaking, he's done that well in the past. But I'd be worried that they're too concerned about showing how good they are.
Aye.
Rather than what's going to benefit the team. And maybe I'm misreading that, but that's just how it looks from the outside to me.
Fair play to West Ham though for turning them over.
Aye.
Especially after going down to 10.
Aye, I know. I mean, you can't, no complaints about that red card at all, man. No complaints. Although the McAllister one I thought was harsh in the Liverpool game. Although apparently his ban's been overturned already. So
has it?
Yeah,
okay.
He's not going to get the 3-match ban for it because apparently even like Pogmall or whatever they're called just went, that's not a red. Because they both went into it quite hard.
But it's mad that can happen in an age where we've got VAR. Like that should be happening.
I know.
Then we should, like, there shouldn't be any red cards that get overturned at this point because VAR hasn't done its job then.
But the problem is they can't overturn a yellow, so even if it's a second yellow. So if you get 2 yellows and that gets you sent off, they can't overturn that. So that's why Tommy Asses for Arsenal against Palace didn't get overturned either. Despite the fact that basically everyone that's seen it went, that's not a yellow card. And the one, we'll talk about it that game later, but the Fulham Tim Ream getting sent off against, who did he do it to? With the game, who did they get beat by? Brentford. That was never a penalty. That's the softest penalty I've seen in ages. But we'll come to that when we get to that game. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I had to say about Liverpool, but I don't think there was. Okay. So I'm going to apologise in advance, Jamie, but it's time to talk about Wolves again.
Wolves, mate. Wolves are fucked, mate. So, Jamie, I'm so sorry.
Not only have they lost 2 games, to be fair, they should have won the opening one against Man United. They were the better team. Adama Traore has since left Wolves as well. He's gone to Fulham. So that's another player just...
Fully expected him to go to the Saudi League.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting that as well, but... Fulham just managed to get him. I don't know why they would sell to Fulham. They're technically a rival team, but it's what they've done. So yeah, he's gone, and I think it's a bit of a damning statement when they're starting up front that Fabio Silva guy.
Aye,
because didn't they signed him from Porto's like under 18s for something like £40 million like 3 years ago. Put him straight into the team. He was dog shit. Loaned him out, and now he's their starting forward and.
With it, Traore.
They're in trouble, man. But again, see up until the final third, they played quite well at certain points in that game.
Yeah.
Created a lot of chances, and I don't know how they're doing this. I don't know how they're creating chances without all their best players anymore, but it's bad for them, man. Really, really bad.
I fucked.
Although, to be fair, who was it they were playing at the weekend? Was it Brighton? I've written both teams had shot. It was Brighton, aye.
Oh, was it Brighton?
Aye. So, I mean, lots of even decent good teams are going to get a doing by Brighton, because if you're not at your best, they will tear you apart.
Aye, they'll cut you to ribbons.
Aye. And who's the English guy with a not very English name? Solly March?
Aye.
He's just when did he become brilliant?
I know.
It's so
Where
bizarre.
did you come from?
I think was he not one of the guys that came from Huddersfield Town? That might have been Pascal Grosch, but he's just incredible. Like that forward line of Evan Ferguson, Matoma, they've got Marsh. Now they've got João Pedro from Watford as well.
He's a good signing, by the way.
Yeah, very good. And he's dead young as well. That's a really just good, consistent football team. It's like they're just very talented, but also hard workers, and also Danny Welbeck. So it's.
What, you're a Welbeck hater, eh? Well, you're
I'm not
fan, aren't you?
I'm not a hater, man. I swear that when Welbeck and Fraser Campbell were coming through at Manchester United and they were deciding which one to sell, Ferguson flipped a coin, and it was Campbell.
Probably,
because I don't get how he's played for two of the biggest clubs in England. I don't see how he's managed that.
Yeah.
But a consistent player for a Brighton level team, yeah, sure, fair enough. Why not? But I never understood how he was at Manchester United or Arsenal. Not at all. That Evan Ferguson though, who they've got, the Irish striker.
Yeah.
He's like 19 or something like that. He's just brilliant. So consistent. And they got him from a team that no one had, like, I think they bought him directly from Ireland or something like that. And I think Barry Glendenning hadn't even heard of him when he joined Brighton. That says it all.
See, when he first broke through, I was like, oh yes, Big Dunk's got a boy. And I was like, Scotland have got a fucking striker finally, man. We've got a goal scorer.
No, just Scottish name, but no.
Or maybe he did some shagging in Ireland. Allegedly. Don't worry for it. Big Duncan will turn up, man. He was in the jail with my dad. That's a true story. He was in the same wing as my dad. Big Dunk. He was the only guy that went into the jail, and when he walked in, everybody went, don't fuck with him, by the way.
That might be the most Glasgow thing said in an English football podcast in all of human history. Big Dunk was in the jail with my dad.
He played for Everton.
Aye, he did, yeah, he did.
After he was in the jail with my dad.
Aye. I loved it. His house has been broken into 3 times, and each time he's taken out the burglar and held them down and waited for the police. Imagine breaking out of someone's house and realising Duncan Ferguson lived there.
Like, do your fucking research, man. Like, don't break into Duncan Ferguson's gaff. It's not going to end well.
He might be like the worst person outside of combat sports whose house you could break into. Like. Or Roy Hodgson, obviously.
Aye, mate.
They're nocturnal. He'll be awake.
Just perched on top of a door.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, man.
I actually really like Roy Hodgson as well, just slating him.
Yeah, he's alright.
I mean, he fucked up England, so that makes him likeable.
Oh, big time. He was the manager of the Iceland scenario, wasn't he?
Yeah, the Iceland scenario.
The Iceland scenario.
Right, what game's next? Oh, here we go. Man United versus Spurs.
Yeah. Come on.
Our producer, we have learned today, is a Man United fan, so I'm going to apologise in advance for any slating I do of them. I actually thought they started that game really well.
They did.
They were creating loads of chances. They looked sharp. Fernandes did the worst header I think I've seen by a professional footballer in about 20 years.
Aye, that was incredible. Because like I thought it was one of the ones where like the player knows that he's offside, so just makes a cunt of it, like fucks it away on purpose. But no, he was well onside, and it was just a horrific header. You
watch the slow motion replay, you can tell he's really trying to get it right. And I suppose it's not what he's in the team to do. He's there to create the chances. And again, I said this about Chelsea, but it's almost like they need a striker.
Yeah,
it's mad. Although I would have said at the start of the season, centre forward striker. That's 100% where they need to concentrate their efforts. They need to get someone boss in there. And for some reason, arguably the best defence in the league last year has turned to dog shit.
Yep.
Because they had the most clean sheets. That said, De Gea got the Golden Glove last season. They had the most clean sheets in the league. And now they just, Wolves cut through them at ease.
To be fair, Onana looked all right. Both goalkeepers in that game looked all right.
I don't think it's Onana's fault. I don't think it's Onana's fault. So, again, either Varane or Martinez have gone downhill very quickly, or we have been underestimating Fred for years.
Aye. Fred's a baller, by the way, man. Where is he now? Did he leave?
Fenerbahce or Galatasaray? He went to Turkey somewhere.
That's that's the Saudi league of 10 years ago.
The Saudi league of Europe, basically.
It's like
if your career's kind of on the wane and you just want an easy payday, and also to get potentially stabbed by fans, like go to Turkey. Yeah.
Go to Turkey, man.
But I thought they played really well in the first half, created loads of chances, but again, that's going to happen against an Ange Postecoglou team because they try and play so forward. And I think this is what we've seen in the past 2 games from Spurs, is just how big an impact he's had in their central midfield, Ange Postecoglou.
Aye.
Because Bissouma was like anonymous last season. Hardly got any game time. Just when he did, he looked awful. But the way Ange sets up his teams with 2 really wide forwards that create space in the middle for the 2 number 8s or whatever you want to call them to then play their football, it's really freed up Bissouma to be free roaming and do what he wants. And obviously James Maddison has looked incredible in the past 2 games.
We didn't talk about in our signings of the season. We absolutely fucking missed that one.
Signing of the season, player of the season, didn't get any mention at all.
To be fair, I find it hard to rate anybody who's ever played for Aberdeen. Anybody that's kicked a ball in an Aberdeen shirt post 1983.
No, I can understand that. But he just looks. I mean, he looked amazing last season for Leicester. He was the only player that ever showed up for them, and now he's at Spurs. He's got a manager who, when you think about how good O'Reilly and Hatate in particular looked when Ange was managing Celtic. The freedom he gave them, him and the goals they were able to score or contribute to, Maddison could be onto an absolutely incredible season there.
Aye.
And that change in management's going to do wonders for them. I will say though, like we mentioned, they are leaving themselves open at the back, but the goalie looked a lot better today than he did in the previous game. That has to be said. But that's what Spurs fans want. You know, they talk about the Spurs way.
The Harry Redknapp was like in previous history, like Harry Redknapp was the most popular manager they had because he would just attack teams. Like he would just go out and try and beat teams 4-3 every week. And I think that's what Ange's got to bring. And I think that will keep the fans on side. Whether or not fucking Daniel Levy is all right with that, like.
But as so long as they win most games, I put them in the top 6 and I'm quite comfortable with that. I think that could pat them the way they're playing. With Man United, I had them in the top 4.
Mate, it's only 2 games into the season. You do have to bear that in mind. Spurs away should always be a hard game, regardless of how shit Spurs are at any point.
Wolves at home though.
Aye,
they laboured that.
Still over the line, man. They did that last season.
They got over the line because the Wolves were denied the clearest penalty. You'll see, he didn't get anywhere near the ball. The only more obvious foul by a goalkeeper I've seen over the past 2 weekends was when Jordan Pickford blatantly just punched a cunt. It wasn't even he went to claw the ball, and then as the player got near him, formed a fist.
What? Slow motion,
It was bad, honestly. But and it's killing me to say this because obviously I'm an Arsenal fan, but things look positive for Tottenham in that game. The fans seem to be right behind them. The players seem to actually be enjoying their football again. But this is things we would expect from Ange. That's what you would expect them to do. Get the players and the fans on side. Whether he'll keep the board happy or not, I don't know. And I think Maddison will only reach his full potential in that team if they bring in a striker who can do that and they play up front for them, a proper quality man there. It doesn't need to be like a Kane level of goal contribution, because when you've got Son and Kulusevski, they can both score goals.
Or Richarlison if you
exactly. So if you've got James Maddison, who scores quite regularly, Son, who I think a couple of seasons ago was joint Golden Boot winner, and Kulusevski definitely can get goals. His first loan period at Tottenham, he was really, really good. So if they get a centre forward who just holds up the ball and then plays in other players, they don't really need a 30-goal striker. They just need someone that can do that job for them.
Do you think they're going to still be actively looking for that kind of player before the window closes, or do you think Ange likes Richarlison? He's just got to go with it.
I think you'd be daft not to.
Yeah, but like that's the thing. Like
you got 100
centre
million.
forwards are so rare these days because.
Aye, but you've got
10 years ago when Pep was like leading tactics like he still is now.
Aye.
Everybody was trying to play without strikers and like just like wingers that would cut inside, score goals, and it worked for ages. And then suddenly he signs Haaland and everybody's clamouring in an era where there's a shortage of centre forwards.
Well, that's what I mean though.
Like elite level centre forwards.
It doesn't need to be like an out striker. It just needs to be someone that can hold up and pass and play, because you've got two wingers there that can score.
Yeah.
So it just needs to be someone that can link up the play. It doesn't need. It can be like English fans are going to go mental about this, but it can be like what Chris Sutton did for Larson. Obviously, he did get goals himself, but someone like that will hold up the play and then play someone else in. I'm going to stop talking about Celtic because I've mentioned too many of their players in the past 10 minutes. But where do we go from here? Oh yes, the top of the table clash. Newcastle United versus Manchester City. I've got that the wrong way around. I actually thought Newcastle did all right, but
they did all right. They were good in terms of like they never let Man City completely dominate possession, which is hugely important when you're playing Man City away. Like if they like, I know that they're going to dominate possession anyway, but like Newcastle actually made a decent job of like trying to keep the ball and play football against them, and not just sit in and try and hit them on the break. But what
you also did though was boot fuck at them.
Aye, mate, that's what Newcastle. But I think you need a bit of that. Like, remember, you'll remember last season.
Aye.
Like, you need a bit of that about you. Like, especially like if you're an underdog, like you need to be able to like get in people's faces and like upset the fans and the home players.
Anthony Gordon certainly did that very early on when he raked his foot down the back of Ruben Dias.
Yeah.
And then was like, you're not that badly hurt. I was like, mate, you've just clawed the back of his... Oh, mate, it was... But he's always had that in him, man. He's always had a wee bit of dirty in him.
But like, when you think of Eddie Howe and like the way he came through with Bournemouth, like you don't think about that side of the game. You think about attacking, like really pretty passing football. But like the fact that he's put that, like, and you wouldn't even think of that like with Eddie Howe as a man, like personality wise. You wouldn't think he seems like quite a polite, like reserved guy. But like I can just imagine him in that dressing room, like kick fuck out of them, kick fuck out every one of them.
Well, no, when they played Arsenal, I think it was at the Emirates last season. They got a draw. Like it was all dark arts. It was like hit the deck for as long as you can. And Jamal Lascelles interfered with 2 throw-ins and got a yellow card from the bench.
Yeah, like, exactly.
It was like easy, but that's what you need to do sometimes in big games like that. But
I'd be quite happy if Newcastle United became the Atletico Madrid of the Premier League.
Well, exactly. They won a couple of La Liga titles, and you know,
by being dirty as fuck.
And mate, I've got so much respect for Diego Simeone. I've got I won't say a bad word about him. He wins. That's all that matters. If you manage to upset the duopoly that Real Madrid and Barcelona have over the Spanish league twice in the space of like 10 years, all you can say is fair play, mate. Well done. 100%. Gordon then went in again though later on in the second half on Ruben Dias again. And within 2 minutes of that happening, he'd been subbed off because Eddie Howe was like, he's got to get sent off.
Maybe I've wound him up a wee bit too much. Like, get him hooked.
But I mean, I like Gordon as a player going forward. He was really good at Everton, and I think he's shown glimpses of it now. But I think he'll get replaced by Harvey Barnes before too long.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing we need to talk about. All we've done is talk about Newcastle in a game where Man
City beat them. I know.
really well, and Alvarez scored an absolute belter, man. There's something about it when it's finished out of the inside of a net like that, and the inside of the side net. It's just, and he didn't look up. He didn't think about it. He just went bang. Like, I'm going to finish this. I don't know what they've got in the water there, but like none of them look up when they're going to take a strike. They're just like, I know where the goal is.
I know.
It was a brilliant goal. And I'm not saying that I should be scouting for Man City, but he was one of the jewels in the crown of my 2021 Feyenoord team. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
You should be scouting for Man City.
Exactly. Yeah, I sold him for 160 million, I think it was in the end. So I'm just saying, like they said when I joined Feyenoord that it was too big a jump from Sunderland in the Championship.
This podcast has just got to turn you into you doing post-match interviews for your Football Manager team.
All I'm saying is 2 years, every domestic trophy later, unbeaten season. We'll see who isn't ready for that jump. What else can I talk about? Oh, Phil Foden's performance. Wow. Like, I really hope he gets more time this season because he's been a player that it feels like he's been around for ages now, but he's still young.
Aye.
And it still seems like he has potential. It's unbelievable. And that game, obviously, they had no De Bruyne. Bernardo Silva didn't start, and he was just everything creative going forward.
Aye.
So
he is a tremendous footballer.
He's brilliant. And
I think the only thing that limited his game time last year was how well Grealish did.
Yeah,
when he came in.
That's true.
And nobody really expected that for Grealish. Like,
I know that
because he's
is true.
always out till 4 a.m. getting fucking hammered on his Stellas.
Running and he's got a DJ room in the Meta universe. It's just a big.
He's just a pure net.
Just a big animated him playing tunes that he's mixed. I've not been in it because I don't have that, but it's like.
What is that? The mad like
VR?
Oh no way, is he?
He's just got something. I think he wants to be a DJ. It's like, you're doing all right with the football, mate. I wouldn't worry about that too much. But
plenty of time after.
He did play really well though, Grealish last season. And obviously I mentioned earlier that I had Man United finishing the top 4. I had Newcastle 5th. But I think if Man United, I'm sorry again, mate, if Man United played City at the weekend there, I reckon they would have got a pumping off them.
Oh, aye.
Whereas Newcastle wouldn't. And I'm not going to change my predictions already because I've made them. They're fucking locked in. But
speaking of bad predictions, I predicted Everton to finish 11th this season.
That is true.
And that looks already absolutely fucked, by the way.
I was going to bring that up, actually. Yeah.
They'll probably be on their 11th manager by the end of the season.
I had them 14th, but I had them above Bournemouth, and I'm not convinced of that anymore. Bournemouth look quite good. But yeah, no, they look dreadful. The problem is, like, with United and teams like that, you can go, but they need a striker. With some teams, you go, they need a left back, they need this. With Everton, I'm looking at them going, well, you need a striker because Calvert-Lewin is injured again.
Yeah.
You've got no defenders really to speak of any quality.
Aye.
Seamus Coleman's 300 years old now.
Fucking hell, man. Poor guy.
Midfield, like Anana looked decent at parts last season, but the game of the weekend there, he was getting run ragged. He looked utter useless. And I don't know. I'm now looking at them the same way that I was looking at Wolves at the start of the season going, I don't know where your bright spark is. I still think they'll survive purely on the basis that I think there'll be worse teams than them. I think Luton and Sheffield will just go down.
Aye.
But who else did have? Wolves? There's not much between them and Wolves. Wolves have played better in the first 2 games.
Yeah.
I think Dyche himself said, if I could have subbed the full team at half-time, I would have.
It's a bad way, man. A bad way. If they, like, I remember we were talking, have they even signed anybody?
They signed Ashley Young on a free.
Is it still that? Is it still just that?
I don't know. They might have.
If I were an Everton fan, I would be fucking ripping up my season ticket.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, they're under quite strict financial fair play rules, because of their insane spending, like, before that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I mean, if Neil Maupay's gonna start most games for you up front, shafted.
Yeah.
Like, we spoke about this last pod. Players that were good in the Championship that just can't carry it into the Premier League. He is one of those.
Aye, he is another one of those.
I mean, it should be that Everton buy the best players from Brighton. Brighton offloaded him to Everton.
I know.
Because they were like, we don't need him.
Shows you a change, doesn't it? Like,
yeah. No, I think Everton are in a world of trouble, and they can't rely on Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Although I would say that, like, for against Fulham, they did look better than Fulham. They created a whole bunch of chances, they just couldn't score, which is becoming a recurring theme. We said the same thing about Wolves. Everton, it's the same. The
same every year. There's like teams that just can't stay up because of no goals in them. Southampton last year.
Well, Everton had 19 shots against Fulham, right? 19 shots, 9 on target, 10 corners, 2.93 expected goals, and lost the football match.
It's brutal.
It is, it's just mad. Right, so I'll try to see where we were about the Newcastle game. I think we covered everything. Oh, I haven't. I was going to talk about Harvey Barnes a bit more. I think he's going to be an underrated piece of business by the time this season's done. Because he did it for Leicester as well last season, where he got goals and assists. He's just gonna do that off the bench if he has to. He will always come on and have an influence. I thought Tonali's debut, because we haven't spoke since that. He was brilliant.
He was outstanding.
So
mate.
good.
Like, he done everything. Like absolutely everything.
He basically looked like Bruno did when Bruno came in last season.
He's like making tackles, scoring goals, spreading the play, like just doing all the tidy work and doing all the dirty work, like just doing everything. Like he was my prediction for signing the season. And after that first performance, I was like, on to a winner.
No, you said he was going to be player of the season.
Player of the season.
You said Kovacic would be signing the season, which makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, fuck that.
I picked Tonali for signing the season.
Just keep it clear.
But he's already got an excellent chant. He drinks Moretti, he eats spaghetti, and he hates Sunderland. That's just... You got to love the Geordies.
The Geordie fans will get the best sense of humour.
There's no need for the he hates Sunderland bit. They're not even in the division.
I know, but it's just everything is... We fucking hate Sunderland. Markham.
Oh, it's brilliant, man. No, but he looked really good. I think Newcastle, they look stronger than last season. The only reason they wouldn't finish in the top 4 is because other teams might improve and do better. But saying that, they look significantly better than Man U at the moment, or Chelsea. Liverpool might just outscore teams enough to get in there. So I'm going to stand by that. But
I think like a thumping home win and then losing 1-0 away to City, like that's
not bad.
That's as good a start as you could expect.
City haven't lost. I think I don't even know if they've drawn at the Etihad in the entirety of 2023.
Have they?
Yeah,
just won every game.
It's like 17 home games in a row they've won.
That's incredible.
No one wins there, so
so like going there and getting beat 1-0 is actually not that terrible a result.
Especially bear in mind like what happened to Arsenal last year. But right, so that's where we're going for next for this, and I quite like this as a concept. So Fulham did not go well for them again. I think the red card and the penalty was unfair, but they've sold their talisman in Mitrovic.
Yep.
Raul Jimenez has been out of form for Wolves, so I'm not sure how good a replacement he's going to be. They overachieved dramatically last season, finishing 10th. Shocked everybody.
Amazing.
Are they going to suffer from second season syndrome?
I think so.
And what do you think's like the best example of history of that happening? Like what's the classic was second season?
But like I don't know if it's second season syndrome in terms of like that. Like there is loads of teams over the years, like West Ham 2 seasons ago compared to last season. Do you know what I mean? Like when a team like overachieves, the expectation gets up, and then it's like, oh, hold on a minute, like they sell a couple of players, and then they're back in the doldrums again. And like so, like I don't know if it is like a classic second season syndrome, but who would you say is the
Wigan?
Oh, mate, I fucking remember Wigan.
Finished 10th. They had Henri Camara and Jason Roberts up front. I mean, amazing. I absolutely loved Henri Camara. I actually went Wigan on FIFA the next year because I fell in love with him so much at that point in time. It was Mike Pollitt in goals, Paul Scharner, but they had Jimmy Bullard and Pascal Chimbonda, who both went on to, bigger things, better things. They finished 10th, which was incredible. Their first season in the league, finished 10th. Big Paul Jewell is their manager.
Oh, fuck, aye. What's he up to? Managing a Wetherspoons.
Managing his high cholesterol, I'd imagine.
Drive by and Paul Jewell.
Managing a case of
Drive-by back into
diabetes.
2006. There you go, mate.
I take that, Paul Jewell. I'm sure you're going to see this. But,
Paul Jewell and Big Dunk are going to be outside that door when we finish this.
I've only pissed off Paul Jewell. I'd rather be fighting Paul Jewell.
Oh, aye, mate. I reckon I'd have a chance.
So they had this really good team, overachieved, finished 10th. Next season were relegated.
Yeah.
Fulham this last season finished 10th. I don't think they'll get relegated because I think there's worse teams than them. And I think the key difference between what happened then and what Fulham have got is Fulham have got players like Paulinho, who I think is outstanding in the centre of the park.
Yeah.
More like a bunch of teams were after him, but I'm surprised if you could have got him off them for like 50 million. Why are you spending that 115 on Caicedo?
And like the thing about Paulinho is like nobody talks about the fact that Paulinho transitioned.
I made an agreed. I made an agreed noise there.
I know what you went like that. Mm-hmm. What?
I don't speak Portuguese, so
What I know is O is male and A is.
Jesus.
That was just for me. That was
every day I need to put up with.
Every single day has to put up with me.
No, he's a brilliant footballer though. Great tackling numbers last season, and he also contributed going forward. And I think that what's the former United player they have, Pereira?
Yep.
He looks really good for them as well. So they have genuine Premier League quality in that team. And I think they'll be all right. I don't think they'll be anywhere near where they were last season. I don't think they will. Losing Mitrovic, he scored something like 17 goals for them last season, despite the fact that he missed like 7 games.
And like to talk about what we were talking about earlier, and where there's like a pure famine in terms of centre forwards, he's your guy. Like I think if he'd signed for like a bigger club, he would score hundreds of goals. Like him at Spurs, for example, would be
definitely
a fucking absolute belter.
And now who they got? Well, they've got Raul Jimenez. They brought him in, and if he finds the form he had the first 2 seasons at Wolves, brilliant, because he was incredible. But aside from that, what Bobby De Cordova Reid? Right, what else?
You need to talk about Arsenal's performance.
I wasn't gonna actually. They came so far down on my list because what I would say about Arsenal performances, still clearly getting used to each other, still kind of working through a bunch of stuff. But at this part of the season, first 2 games in, all that matters is getting points in the table, and they've basically just gone and got the points. They've won both games that they probably, when they came under the pressure, when they went down to 10 men, or when Nottingham Forest came back into it, they probably wouldn't have won in previous seasons. They found a way to win.
That's all you want, like especially if you're not firing yet.
Aye. Although I would say Saka's goal against Nottingham Forest was unbelievable. That left-footed finish, it was amazing. That boy can do no wrong, honestly. I just love him so much. And the assist from Martinelli, that wee pirouette, magic. And there's a big debate about whether he meant it or not, but I don't care. It was beautiful to watch. So I don't have too much to say about the Arsenal performances, honestly, because it was just sort of bog standard, get the job done, thank you very much, move on. There's not much more to be said about it. They got the job done, and that's all that matters at this point in the season, especially when you brought in a couple of new players who are adjusting to it. As long as you get the points on the table. And then the problem is, last season Arsenal started straight at the bat brilliantly.
Yeah.
And were ahead for ages and ages and ages. They found form and lost form at the wrong time.
It's January to March where you win leagues, isn't it?
Exactly. And this isn't vintage Arsenal. They're not playing their best stuff, but they're still finding a way to win games. And if they can do that now, as long as they can keep that up, and maybe they'll gel together, find their form, and then hit top gear. And I don't have any doubts about them finishing in the top 4, but I still struggle to see anyone competing with Man City.
I think they'll finish second behind City. I think they're like the most stable club.
They are, yeah. They've got he's got to be one of the longest serving managers in the Premier League now as well.
It's mental.
I know, he's like 29. Well, speaking of longest serving managers, obviously we spoke about Thomas Frank being the third now. It was Brentford that Fulham were playing, and there's just something about Brentford, man. Like, when they lost Tony, I was like, this is going to be a problem for them.
Yep.
And then Vissa and Mbuemo just look really, really good. But I think, unlike Tony, they couldn't be taken out the Brentford team and put into another team.
Yeah.
And be equally as good. I think their system
suits them
a lot.
Aye, they know what, like, they're just a well coached team. Like, they always have been, like, over the years. Like, they've managed to, like, overachieve with, like, players, like you say, that wouldn't be necessarily able to do it for other clubs. But they look good again. When does Tony come back?
He was out for 8 months, I think it was, but that kicked in. That's running from last season or whenever it started.
It was like April, May or something.
So I think it'll be about December. I think, I'm not 100% sure.
I think, like we mentioned it last week as well, I think there might be some club out there that might just turn around and go, do you know what, we'll take a punt.
Aye.
Well, no, Brentford would want to lose him, but if you're on the board at Brentford and somebody offers you a daft amount of money for a player that's banned for half the season, you're going to take it, aren't you?
Aye, not 100%, yeah, but they will demand a daft amount of money, and that's the thing.
Aye.
I see a lot of similarities between Brentford and Brighton, and not just because they start with the same letters. I genuinely think, like, see, Brighton, they play like if Brentford were managed by, like, peak Wenger.
Aye.
Because it's just really hard-working, quite talented footballers playing a really, really nice style of football.
Yep.
And Brentford, they don't quite have the same style and ability as Brighton, but they're just really hard workers. They do their job really well, and some of the football they do play is really, really nice.
Aye.
And they're just a hard team to dislike. I don't know any fan of any other team other than maybe like Fulham or Chelsea, because they're in the same area, that's like, I don't like Brentford.
Nah, like,
they're just likeable, man. They're doing it with almost no budget comparatively. Every player in their team, like, if you were a big football fan and you just hadn't heard of Brentford, you can point any of them out. Like, you know, there's none that stand out. In most teams, you're like, oh, I recognise that name, But Wissa and Mbuemo, before they got in the Premier League, no idea who they were.
Yeah.
So there's just something very likeable about the way they're doing things, and I hope they stay in the league for a long time. I hope they become like a new Brighton.
Aye, same.
Because their fans seem fun as well. Like, they all just seem to be enjoying the ride, and I think that's the most important thing when you're a team like them, with that size, where they come from. They used to get opposition fans singing, "You're just a bus stop in," I can't remember where it is, a bus stop in Chelsea, or wherever it is, like, because Brentford's such a small
it's
area.
a wee place.
Almost said Hounslow there, but I don't think that's it. It's been a while since I lived in London, mate. So, but I really liked them. I do think they got lucky with the penalty, but it's nothing they can do about that.
No.
I think there was a penalty in the Man U game that was a bit risky, wasn't there? Or that wasn't given. The handball.
That's right. Aye.
Yeah, no, that's a penalty for me, but that's just my opinion.
We could do a separate podcast about dubious handballs.
That's
the dubious handball podcast.
The foul Y podcast. So I don't really want to dwell on Forest versus Sheffield United, because, you know, who would? But it's one of the most successful teams in Premier League history, and just slating there, you know, 2 European Cups
back to back as well.
Fuck them.
Fuck them. Shite.
But apparently the last time they played at the City Ground in the Premier League, Brian Clough was Forest manager. It just shows how much those teams have struggled since then.
Aye, two teams with like pure massive history.
I mean, I would say I think Wednesday always had the bigger history than United.
Oh, aye, big time.
Still a hugely supported club. The other thing I wanted to say about that is Morgan Gibbs-White is a hell of a footballer.
Would you take him back?
To Wolves? Yeah. I think they were thinking, well, we don't need him. We've got Moutinho, we've got Neves, we've got Adama Traore. Why would we need him?
No, look at us.
Although, to be fair, Forest paid an insane amount of money for him at that point in time. They paid a lot of money. But it's proven worth it. He's hands down the best player of that team. I know people say Brennan Johnson, for me, Morgan Gibbs-White looks like a different level.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff he does is out of this world, and I don't think, sorry Forest fans, I don't think he'll be at them very long.
Nah.
But you'll be signed to a long contract, and because they paid so much, they can demand a shit ton of money for him. So at least they'll make back what they put in. And he seems to be enjoying his football, which is important. So I think they'll stay in the league this season. If they can do that and build again, because their owner is obviously willing to spend money.
Yeah.
If they can do that, then he doesn't necessarily need to go anywhere. But I think he could play for a better team. But he'd be smart to at least spend another season or two. They're developing a little bit because he is still young. And just so Sheffield United fans aren't annoyed, the goal that Hamer scored for them was a bloody cracker, man. Hell of a finish. So there you go. We've covered your game. So I did want to talk about, we have covered Chelsea a little bit, but the West Ham side of things, James Ward-Prowse makes an instant impact.
Oh, mate. Like,
what a cross.
Like straight away, like for the first corner, like I don't think they scored for the first corner that they got, but the first corner he took, it was just like, fucking hell, man. And it was like, it's only a matter of time. Like if he gets enough dead balls, it's just going to be goals. Like, because everybody talks about his free kicks. His free kicks are incredible, but the deliveries, like he's going to hit every corner, every free kick for out wide. Like all of them are going to be like coming in fast and fucking.
There's genuinely, when I watched the free kick, the corner that the header came from they scored, I was like, I couldn't name anyone that could have hit a ball better than that for that situation. The way he shaped his body, the way he got it directly where he wanted it to be, but curved it so that it would. I was about to say flummoxed, but I don't know if I want to use the word flummoxed.
So it would flummox defenders. All the defenders were bamboozled.
They were completely thrown abaft, they were baffled. I say, that has me flummoxed. Flummoxed smoking a pipe.
I know.
But he's a brilliant set piece taker, and it was magic. We already spoke about how Chelsea didn't deserve to lose that game, but
is the set piece taker like a dying art?
I think it's just.
Remember, there used to be players whose entire careers were like just what they could do with a dead ball. I'm not saying it was just this.
Juninho Pernambucano.
Yeah. Amazing. Beckham, like he had some seasons where like if it wasn't for his free kicks, he wouldn't have had a lot in terms of goal contributions.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
So like, remember that's the like set piece specialist. Like, is that a player that's like?
I think any specialist position is kind of dying out because footballers are now being asked to do. Most footballers have been asked to play in several positions.
Yeah.
Like, if you can only do one thing unless you're a goalkeeper, and even then you're still expected to be able to pass.
Yeah, it's changed. I
think utility has become such a big thing now that being good at one thing isn't necessarily good enough anymore.
No.
So, but that's not to say James Ward-Prowse is only good.
Oh no, he's not.
Because I think he is a decent midfielder all round. We slagged Antonio off last week.
Scores.
Had a brilliant performance.
He scores. I remember watching that goal go in and going, I'm going to get him for this. Like,
in my defence, what I said is he's very inconsistent, and the fact that he's had a good game does not disprove that. But if you are a fan of a team and one of your players is struggling and you do want him to get better, tell us, put it in the comments, we'll slag him off, and I guarantee you'll fucking get a hat-trick next week. We could monetise that, you know. But no, he did play well. He bullied the defenders a lot. He looked sharp, but I still think
quick and strong, man.
Even David Moyes said at the end, no, he doesn't do that often enough. He doesn't score enough. So, you know, me and Moisey, he agrees with me.
Fuck you, imagine that. Like, you've just scored, you've won 3-1 against Chelsea, and your manager's like, but you don't do it often enough. Like, fuck you, mate. Like,
but he doesn't.
Just say, well done. Maybe that's why. Maybe David Moyes is just constantly undermining him.
But the problem is, I've heard some football podcasts and pundits and stuff like that going, oh, he's such an underrated player. He works so hard. He does all this, he does all that.
By a stretch.
And I was like, I'm sorry, he is a striker for a Premier League team that won a European Cup, and he's scored double digits once in the past. That is not good enough.
Yeah,
it's just not good enough. Yes, he might do other things for the team like run the channels and all that, but they need goals. They've almost been relegated a couple of times recently, and a good striker would get them out of that.
Do you think after the season he got into double digits, David Moyes was like, aye, that's good, but you don't do that often enough.
Well, again, he would have been bloody right. But, so despite that, seeing that game, Chelsea obviously had 76% possession, 17 shots, West Ham still won. And Paquetá, what a player.
Oh, he's gone, isn't he?
No.
Is it like, because
they're holding fast. They're saying 85 million plus, or you're not getting him. And I think City are like, well, we've got Phil Foden, so fuck it.
No, I don't think City will go from Saudi League. Oh, fucking, what's the update in the Jota situation? I know we don't want to talk about Celtic players all the time, but I think that is a mental sounding story. He's
not a big enough name, apparently, so the fans want rid of him. So he might be available on a free.
That is incredible. Like, that just shows you the insane amount of wealth we're talking, where they can just throw away 25 million quid like it's nothing.
It's insanely good news for Celtic.
Oh, aye.
Just go back to them and say, we'll come back here.
Come back here. We'll sell you again. So 50 million.
We'll do a quick run through of where we are with the Fantasy League.
Oh, I haven't even signed up for it.
So, because I know you've got an argument with Sky Bet to go through. So, so we've got Jack Murray, who's top of the league, on 198 points. And Jack, I don't know if you've done this on purpose, but I can't view your team. Everyone else in the league, I can look at their team. I don't know if you're taking this so seriously that you've set your team to private so no one else can copy you.
What is your game, Jack? Get that, let us see it.
We can't share how well you're doing if you're hiding it. So now I'm going to have to talk about the guy in second, and that is your fault. So the guy in second is Adam Canning on 177. So only 22, 21 difference. His team's called Payne and Diaz.
Oh, that is excellent work.
He's who's he got? Who was his standout players this week? Holland on 8 points. He's got Saka, Aguerd, which is mind-blowing to me because I'm pretty sure he got sent off.
It's because he scored though as well.
Aye. Matoma and Estepinian also scored. Bloody hell, Brighton have such a good team. Up front, he's got Isaac, Holland and Ferguson. I don't know how he's afforded that. Midfield, I don't know how he's put Rashford in there, but he's got Matoma, Rashford, Maddison and Saka. He does not believe in defending at all. Estepinian, Aguerd, Stones, and then Onana in goals. And then bottom of the league, who do we have? Catchers FC on 69 points. I don't know if you just want to stop there and just go
be like, whoa,
69 for the rest of the season. But yeah, it's not even a bad team, mate. But don't know, you're just shite at it. So.
Better than me, at least you got a team.
I mean, I'm 9th, I'm not top, and this is technically my fucking podcast. So,
by the way, before we finish, do you want to hear a very, very out of date football joke?
Yes, I'd love to.
Did you hear that Sophie Ellis-Bextor was found head-butted to death in a Parisian apartment? Police suspect it was murder on Zidane's floor.
And that's all.
Your face all the way through that setup was like, don't fucking do it. Oh, that was beautiful, man.
Yeah.
It's a wee street joke. We're bringing street jokes back, mate.
I suppose we haven't done enough comedy in this pod. This is just a football pod where you're just trying to bring in the comedy.
Is how you have football humour.
Yeah. Just next time, make it a better joke. Well, that's all we've got time for on this week's Phil Shite. So we'll be back next week. We're not going to take 2 weeks off again. I do apologise for that, but the Fringe just fucked us up. So,
yeah,
we'll be back next week. So it's goodbye from Patrick.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from me. Go fuck yourself, San Diego.